What's going on, hockey fans? Dan Kay and Lucas Jones are back and on your TV screen. And it's been such a busy year. It feels like we haven't had many chances to put a normal episode together to talk about some of the big things going on in the USPHL and to start with my three things. It's been a while since we've had Dan Kay's three things kick off the show. Let's count them up. Thing number one. The NCDC All-Star teams have been announced, Team American and Team National, the best of the best, as well as the young prospects, the Young Guns game that are going to be going on in Foxborough with the Dan K Show on the call for both. That's Tuesday, not this Tuesday coming up, but 2 Tuesdays from now. Next week, you can tune in as the Dan K Show will break down those All-Star rosters, talk about some of the highlighter guys we can't wait to see play, and give you our predictions for what we're going to call Team Dan K and Team Lucas J. We'll pick those, make those selections, and have some fun with the NCDC All-Star Game. Thing number two, how about the trips we have been on? Lucas and I have already traveled in the new year over 12,000 miles combined. We'll be going over the 21,000 mark in just about 2 weeks. A lot to come, a lot to talk about there. Thing number three, it's where we start the show, the Bold City Battalion entering the fray. The USPHL Premier adds another team in my new home state of Florida. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be bothering these guys to see if I can't just be the voice of the Bold City Battalion because I'm a bold guy and I got to introduce into the group my right-hand man, Mike Consigliere, Montfrere from another mayor and the only man qualified to talk Bold City Battalion. Lucas J, loving the hat, loving the look. It's bro style. What's up, bro?
It's bro style right now. Really, you're getting the sneak peek because this is what I look like when I've been editing for about 8 hours straight. You basically edit in gym clothes so that when you have an hour to go to the gym, it's really easy. What I will say, Dan, is that the Bold City Battalion not only adding another team to a potential military cup between the generals and the infantry, but also potentially another team involved in the battle for I-95, something that we have been working on for a while, and that I believe next year we are getting ready to deploy.
Yeah, next year we are looking into proving to people nationwide why calling games the Battle of I whatever or Highway so and so is the dumbest thing to ever happen in all of sports of all time. Okay, the Battle of I-95 will be waged next year in the USPHL. I believe there are over 20 teams. Overall record against opponents that are also 10 miles to 20 miles or less adjacent to I-95 will all be eligible to play in the Battle of I-95. We're going to make an I-95 trophy and ship it to the team that wins it all. And we will prove to you all that if you call any rivalry you have the Battle of I whatever, you are in fact an idiot. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to be bold here. Bold City, I'm going to have bold predictions. Idiot, dumb, stupid. But you know what's not idiot, dumb, stupid? This Bold City Battalion brand, I'm excited about it. And Ron Kinnear, I mean, what a guy. We love Ron Kinnear here. We battle with Ron Kinnear, right? This is a guy who runs the Pal Junior Islanders. They've got 10 zillion teams up there in the New York region. He runs this Florida Junior Blades organization as well alongside Kevin Miller. Kevin Miller's an absolute beauty. I'm still waiting for him to get us on the call with Flow Racing because I want to call some races. That's next. We need Kevin Miller on the phone for that. And, you know, none other than Lightning Rod Simmons is going to be involved in hockey operations. He's already involved in hockey operations with the Florida Junior Blades. He's a guy who we never stop talking about, never stop waxing poetic on. This organization is going to be a hit from day one. I can guarantee it.
It is a group that understands development, right? From top to bottom in that PAL organization, they've got guys in the youth. They have from the younger skaters all the way up to the NCDC and the Florida Junior Blades. They understand that too, right? They've got a premier team that's battling, an elite team that's battling. They've got the right people involved, and I don't know how many times we have to say it, Dan. It's not always about the logo on the chest you play for. You're playing for the coach, you're playing for the GM, you're playing for the ownership group, especially in junior hockey, right? Those are the most important people when it comes to the success that you're going to find playing for a team. And this group, I mean, it's a special bunch. I'm really excited for the battalion.
Yeah, and I continue to be the number one proponent of growth in the game of hockey, whether it be junior, whether it be collegiate, whether it be wherever. The more markets we expand to in the game at this level, the more expansion has to happen at the next level. And that next level has to be ACHA. You've seen it with CHF. You've seen it now, the CHF going to AAU and getting that branding. You see it at the NCAA level with more Division One teams coming in. We need to put pressure on college hockey to grow with us, to provide the opportunities in markets that are non-hockey markets. Shut up with that. Everything's a hockey market. Hockey is one of the fastest growing sports in the country. It is the fastest growing contact sport in the country. Hockey is where it is at. The college world, the college level has to match that now, create more opportunities for coaches to grow programs at schools that haven't traditionally had hockey. Preach, Dan K. Preach, King. Let's go. Bold City Battalion. This is a win. This is a win for junior hockey. Stop it now. I'm sure that the dummies of the world and those guys out there will say, oh, there's another team. This is what it's all about, guys. Okay. It creates more opportunity for kids to play high level tier 3 hockey in the Premier, creates opportunity in the Florida region to kind of provide another travel partner, right? The more teams you can play without having to get on a bus for 12 hours, the better. The more teams I can play without having to hop on a plane, the better. It's great. The Florida hockey world, as a guy down here in Florida watching it firsthand, does not stop growing. It has not stopped growing. The Tampa Bay Lightning have just exploded the market here in this Tampa Bay region. You go down south, and the Florida Panthers just hosting the All-Star game. Hockey is healthier than ever in Florida. Now let's get some NCAA Division One hockey down here.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's only so many spots in Division One, and the NCAA Division One, it's kind of what it is, right? So we need to provide as many opportunities and varied opportunities. Skaters who come through junior hockey and the USPHL as well. There's a lot of different end goals, right? Sometimes players just, as we talked about on the broadcast earlier this weekend, they work a 40-hour job and that's how they pay for junior hockey. They want to play a little bit more hockey before they enter the workforce. Some guys are looking to go pro, right? And there's a lot of different levels, there's a lot of different variations of that. Some guys want to use hockey as a pathway to help pay for college. And some guys just want to go to college and get a chance to play hockey, right? Whether that's at the club level, whether that's at, any of the various levels that exist throughout the game. It's all good hockey. And if it's the right spot for you, we're here to support it. We're here to help you find it. So the more opportunities you have, especially to play for some good operators, it can't be a bad thing.
100%. The Bold City Battalion coming to a rink near you. They'll be in that Jacksonville, Florida area. You want to find out more, head to USPHL.com right now or reach on out to the Dan K Show. We can help out. Stay tuned. Coming up in the coming weeks, we'll have an interview with Rod Simmons and some of the crew there from Bold City about the launching of this brand new franchise. Let's go. Let's keep continuing to grow the game together. We're going to take a break and we're going to talk about some of the things we do to grow the game. Like, I don't know, hot dog trophy, the Coney Cup. The Dan K Show was on the road. We'll talk about some of our travels, some of the players that stood out to us, and some other storylines from the Dan K Show on the road, presented by Remastered Sleep. As you can tell by my Minnesota Squatch hat, we've got a bunch of new merchandise that we will be wearing on each show each week. You can look over Lucas's head and see that Minnesota Blue Ox hockey puck staring you right in the face, another piece of Minnesota lineage that made its way home with us. As we talk about our road trip, we'll kind of go step by step here. Lucas, I want to start in Ogden. We got a chance to see the Ogden Raptors minor league baseball facility. Got a chance to hang out with Kenny Orlando, who's the best guy with a Florida name since Jackie Daytona, human bartender of the What We Do in the Shadows show that I love so much. Then that facility, Lucas, that building, that setup, the scenery in the mountains, the NCDC West, or as we're pushing for the NCDC Mountain eventually, this crew will not miss. They just can't with how good these setups are. These guys were auctioning off jerseys for thousands of dollars, raising money for Ole Kolzig's autism awareness charity. Like it was such an incredible event. And for me, one of the big names that stood out was Jake Murray, a guy who is potentially going to be the all-time point leader in the USPHL by the time this season's done if he keeps up at the pace he's on. A fun trip in Ogden.
I mean, Ogden was so much fun getting to meet all the people out there, getting invited to speaking not on game day, but the day before game day, right? To a VIP event was so much fun, and just getting to interact with a lot of the players, being invited to practice. It's a top-notch facility, and I think the thing is when you talk about a team in the future NCDC West, top-notch facility, great team, great fans, great coaches. That describes a lot of the organizations out there, right? We met with some of the Outliers folks as well. We're going back to hang out with the Pueblo Bulls for a weekend. It is great hockey out there. I think for Ogden in that game we did against Vernal, it showcases how the NCDC can be so fast and so physical, so skilled all at the same time. And specifically for the NCDC West, can draw a crowd of a couple of hundred to over 1,000.
Yeah. And you look at the Vernal side of things too. They took that Ogden Mustangs team to OT.
Yes,
They
they
took it
did.
to the ropes. They battled back. They were skating about half short on their roster. Injuries, a little bit of the flu bug kind of going through the locker room as well, left some guys behind on a road trip that was tough to Idaho Falls, to Ogden. And that Vernal team, one of the biggest storylines, I'll start with the biggest one. It's Antonio Tarantino is that guy. He's got that dog in him, right? He's got the ability to stop everything that moves. Tarantino is a top-notch, top 5 USPHL premier netminder right now. And any college coach not looking at him is absolutely just out of their minds, right? Mike Ginello, Coach Ginello. I haven't watched a coach do more with less against a really tough opponent due to injuries, illnesses, things like that, than what Mike Ginello did in Ogden, Utah that night. And I feel like that went under the radar. Coach Ginello might be turning into Coach Genius. This is a 26-year-old dude who just was out there working with the squad he had, got the boys buzzing, and nearly stole 2 points, was able to get one out of a really difficult Ogden matchup on the road.
He's in charge of a great team, and he's helped build that team. He inspires that team, right? When you have a short bench like that, it comes down to the guys on that bench, and the coaches become a huge part of that, right? Making sure they're managing lines, they're getting the most out of their guys, they're responding when things go either their way or against their way. Coach Ginello, I think, is one of this breed of new young coaches, right? You might call them fresh faced, I call them hungry, right? They want to be represented. They want to get their brand out there, and they want to carve out not just a space, but they want to carve out a huge space with a giant bullhorn and a giant spotlight on what the next generation of hockey looks like.
Yeah, and we're always yelling, Coach Ginello, stop it with the bullhorn. We can't hear ourselves think. And he's like, bah, there he goes yet again. But no, I agree with you, Lucas. That was a fun trip. We continue the road to Minnesota. Went to Ogden, Utah. Next stop is obviously Minnesota. And obviously the way you get to Minnesota is you fly back separately. One guy goes to Newark. The other guy goes to Florida. Then the guy in Florida drives to D.C. or up to Jersey, scoops up the guy in Jersey in a car, drops the car off in D.C., flies from D.C. to Minnesota. So that's where we were then. In Minnesota, we got a chance to hang out with the Squatch. We even met Sasquatch. We met the big guy. I mean, that was pretty fun. We got the ice fish with a Sasquatch. Not many hockey shows out there getting that done. Daniel Ellingson, how about him? Just a top scorer in the league. Not a big deal or anything. The guy's just one of the best. But that Blue Ox team, Lucas, we watched them. A tough trip down to Florida. They bounce back. They're taking on the Moose in the battle for the Axe. The Moose take the win. But, I mean, Jay Witta, what they're doing there, they lost a good amount of guys this year, kind of a fresh-faced squad, a young team, and they just continue to just outwork everybody, and they just do it right. Like the whole crew around it, the team of people that work with this organization, what a beautiful job they do out there with the Blue Ox.
Yeah, they really do, right? They know how to throw a tailgate. They know how to make a good stew. They know how to make a good team. They are, the Blue Ox every year, their commitment to the players they recruit, I think, is second to none. Their development first, they are winning second, and probably last on their list is, trying to use trying to make trades or anything. They don't do that, right? They very rarely do, if at all. And you'll love to see that commitment because it allows guys to flourish, right? You have someone like Gabriel Myers, a defenseman who's an 04. 24 points on the season, along with Griffin Bourassa, who's an 0-2 with 24 points on the season. So two defensemen, two different ages right there, but still finding that success, I think is a huge part of what the Blue Ox do. And they're one of the premier organizations out there. They just do such a good job with development. They treat the guys right.
Yeah, and the big cheese, Eli Marchese in net is fun to watch. I mean, on the Minnesota Moose side, it was John Becker who led the way. He had a hattie in the game, right? Becker with 3 goals. He had the natural hat trick. He scores 3 in a row to kick it off to make it 3-0 Moose. Cheney answers back, then Van Balen and Miller, and next thing you know, it's all Moose rolling to it. Becker's a real deal forward, and I think Coach Bronison knows that, and he wanted that axe. You want to talk about what the Cup Series does, and I guarantee you're going to see it with everybody who played a Cup Series game this year. The first year, you're kind of like, what is this thing? This is stupid. I don't get it. Blah blah blah. Year 2 of all these things, guys don't want to lose it. They don't want to see the other guys celebrate in the ice. They don't want to hear Dan Kay hand him a trophy. They don't want to see some guy in a funny little suit go out there and tell them that they didn't win this thing. And the Moose wanted it. Dan Kay threw out the first puck in hockey history, and then the Moose win it. They're now 1-1 in the Cup. The Blue Ox are now 1-1 in the Cup. Next year, grudge match, baby. Let's see who gets the nod in year 3. What a trip there. Then, obviously, Lucas, since I drove from Florida to Jersey, scooped you up, drove back to DC, flew to Minnesota. Obviously, the next morning we fly back to DC. Then we go to Potomac. RJ Ziegler doesn't miss. He doesn't miss. And Josh Gratton coming in to coach that Potomac team, it doesn't get any better than what's going on at Potomac. This team used to not win, right? These used to be the basement dwellers. This was the troll under the bridge when it came to, you didn't want to lose a couple games to these guys each year. You just wanted to make sure you had your winning record against Potomac, and then you had to worry about the big dogs, the Hampton Roads of the world, the Charlottes of the world. Now Potomac is a big dog, man. They have gotten their space at the bowl, and the Potomac Patriots are the real deal, and they do everything right.
I want new teams around the league to really look at the Patriots and acknowledge kind of how long, it takes a couple of years to really develop into what the Patriots are now from what they were, right? That's number one. And number two, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of commitment from the coaches, financial commitment from the ownership, buy-in from the players. It is a multi-year process to become what the Potomac Patriots have become. They have put in the work, they have taken the risks, and it's paid off. They also have probably the best home ice advantage in that part of the country, because actually, Dan, they might be playing a game right now, because I'm pretty sure I heard their goal horn all the way up here in North Jersey. I think they might have just scored again.
No, I think that's from a couple days ago. It's just so loud it travels around the earth about 3 times before it gets back to your ears. But no, like Matt Vainamov was great in this one. He was your star of the game. Joshua Kingsbury, how about a defenseman who I got to go on the bench and do interviews during this game, as we're calling it with Justin Richards, the voice of the Potomac Patriots, last year's Dan K Show broadcaster of the year. And this is a guy who had 30 plus assists before he got his first goal. And he got the first goal of the year. The defenseman from the blue line gets involved. He looked at me, he goes, I did it. You got it, baby. You got it. Score one for the defenseman. This guy was great. Potomac, I think this might be a title contender. If Potomac and Richmond are playing each other in the first round or the lone round of the qualifying Southeastern Division playoffs, that might be the greatest series of all time to get to nationals, because for one of those teams to not go, sacrilegious how good they are. They are incredible to watch. Potomac and Richmond, they may be battling in a few weeks. Let's move on. So we go back from DC, we get to Jersey, and we go, you know what? That's not enough. Let's drive to Toledo. So Dan's car goes, hold up a second, battery's dead. So the battery's dead. So we replaced the battery. That's part of the trip. We then put a new battery in on the side of the road. AAA coming up for the win. That's my boy Ray. Love you, Ray. Nice move. MVP. Give him a star of the game hat. Hop back on the road. We drive through a bunch of snow squalls with a car with a bad battery all the way to Toledo. Toledo Metro Coney Cup. They tie it 6-6, Lucas. Toledo, I mean, you talk about Crossland. You talk about the crew there. This team just doesn't stop. What were some of your takeaways from Toledo and Metro?
Wow. I mean, you look at two teams that right now look like they're the favorites to come out of the Great Lakes, right, to head to nationals, and you kind of watch them play each other, and as good as you think they are separately, it feels like they elevate when they play each other. There is a lot on the line in terms of not just points, but also pride.
Yeah.
For Metro, I was really impressed by their ability to strike quickly, to strike efficiently, and to remain resilient, right? There's no quit when it comes to the side of Metro. And I think that a lot of that comes from their coaching staff, right? From Jamie Lovell, Tina Serralo, from Coach Q. And that Metro Jets program develops netminding like no one else. They have netminders every year that feel like they could be number one anywhere in the country. And for Toledo, I mean, there's no quit there either, right? These guys, they just get better when they fall behind, it seems like, right? They get a little bit faster, they hit a little bit harder, and they're willing to run systems with kind of this dedication, right? They know what the systems are, they know what works, and they run it. And if it stops working, they let the skill guys take over, feed them the puck, let them go to work. It's such a deep roster on both sides that I feel like in that Coney Cup, a lot of teams from around the country were looking at that going, man, do I have to play them in the seeding round? Because I'm kind of hoping I don't.
Yeah, and you look at Frank Murphy. You want to talk about Metro's goaltending? Frank Murphy needs to be playing the highest of high level D3 hockey next year. Like that. That's how good this guy is. He is maybe the most confident netminder I've met at this level of the game in terms of belief in himself, belief in his game, and belief in what he has to get done and getting it done. I think Toledo's going to ride this guy to potentially a national championship. You watch the way they play, bringing back in the big story of the weekend. Can't handle David Crandall. He's back. He scored a goal in that game, in that winning game there. Nicholas Milhorn, who's one goal away from taking over Bailey Bird's all-time single-season goal-scoring record, thanks to the voice, Bill Faulkner of the Toledo Cherokee, for yelling that in my ear every 7 seconds while I was trying to call a game. Oh, you go to the Metro side, though. This Metro team, Dakota Cott's the story for me. And I talked about him a bunch on the air. Dakota Cott is just he's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. He gets it. A guy who gets it. Just a young athlete who really gets the game, understands what's in front of him, sees the game differently than most defensemen at this level. He's got an NHL level IQ when it comes to seeing the game in front of him. Multiple times in that win in game 2, there was 2 options. The road kind of forked for Dakota Cott, and there was the wrong one and there was the right one. And he'd take the right road every single time, chirping us at the end of it, having fun with it, right? But the big thing for me was post game of game 2 in the Coney Cup. And this kind of gets us into our final segment. We're going to skip the empty net on this show and kind of talk about a few guys here. It's more than hockey at this level. It's way more than hockey. The hockey's fun. That's the fun part. That's the part we all want to be doing. But Dakota Cott and the boys from Metro kind of centering up at the center circle at the end of the game, us all getting together for the prayer circle, Dakota leading the way, and bringing out Braden Lewis, who has now dealt with 2 bouts with cancer and has faced it fearlessly. And watching Braden get the chance to be the GMU Sports Star of the game at the end of the game, get the hat, get the interview, watching the boys around him cheering him on, that locker room, man, that culture that they have built in Metro, from Peter Kamek and Quenville and Lovell and Serralo all the way down, it is unrivaled what they do in Metro. This organization doesn't miss. It was incredible to get a chance to be a part of it. We are so happy. I know we were playing for a hot dog trophy and we're joking around and having all our fun, but the fun for us begets these great moments, and it gives us an opportunity to have incredible moments like this. Seeing Braden, it reminded me of some other guys around the league. Lucas, first Ricky Lias and the Hershey Cubs. You can hashtag prayers for Ricky to show your support. Ricky Lias is a guy we've gotten a chance to meet his grandmother and his family. And I remember the first time we called a Ricky Lias game when I called him the wrong name. I mispronounced Lias, right? I was told it was Lias and it was, or whatever it was, and got it wrong. And you know, you look at Ricky, man. This is a kid. I know how tough he is. You know how tough he is. He was a highlighter player. We wrote about him on the DanKShow.com last year. This guy's toughness is unmatched and unrivaled. And we're praying for you, Ricky. We're here with you, Ricky, and here for the family any way we can be. As well as, while we were calling MJDP in Chicago, Ben Moak, who is currently recovering from an injury sustained during his matchup with MJDP of the Chicago Cougars. And I know we've been in touch with Coach Dahlman. Lucas has been talking with him daily. keeping up to date with that. So Ben Moak, Ricky Lias, and the great Louis Strong, Braden Lewis, we love you guys, and we're here for you, family, friends, whoever needs it. Dan K Show's always here.
Yeah, I think it's that's why we always talk about it being so important to remember that these are young men who are developing in a lot of ways, right? Whether it's a young skater who's still developing physically, mentally, emotionally, right, as well as with the hockey side, or whether it's the human side of the hockey player, right? There's a person behind the numbers. That's why we try to cover the game the way that we do, right? We don't cover the game negatively. We focus on the positive moments. We try to be a rising tide that lifts all boats. And these are the moments you're reminded of why you do it, because you get these very human moments that happen as a result of hockey. And you never want to see it happen. But to see the hockey community kind of rally around these moments and be a rising tide as well, to lift up in terms of support, prayer, whether it's any kind of help that can be provided, is so important. And it's just trying to remember to be supportive hockey community. We can compete on the ice a lot. We can be really passionate about that, but it's all under one umbrella. So I think that's the biggest thing to remember in times like that.
100%. And for the guys who collect the money in this industry and hide behind doors in boardrooms and make decisions for the game of junior hockey, they don't get this. They don't understand it. And they don't understand how important it is and how important this game is to all these kids, all these families, to guys like us, to the coaches around the country. And we thank everyone, all those warriors around the league, all those warriors on the ice, off the ice, and especially the ones behind the scene that make these teams tick. The real people that deserve to be around in making decisions in big positions in junior hockey leagues around the country. People like Dan Kay and Lucas Jones, the people that work in all these organizations, the Justin Quenvilles of the world, the Peter Kamicks, the Kenny Millers, the Josh Dahlmans, these people, man, I just love watching what they do. Love getting a chance to work with them. The Rod Simmons out there with the Bold City Battalion, who we opened this show up with. We love you guys, and we continue to stand with ELE. Everybody love everybody. Keep those guys in your thoughts here. Keep those guys in your prayers, and let's keep battling through. And the Dan K Show's on the mic. It's always hockey night. We've got a lot of hockey still to come. Next week, you'll be able to check in our NCDC All-Star roster show. We'll be breaking down those rosters, running through it. And then on Thursday, the final power rankings of the year. The final power rankings of the year. No more need for power rankings once you get to playoff time. Everyone decides who the best of the best is on the ice. That final power rankings in the elite, the number one team, has been the champion all 5 years. This is the 6th year of its incarnation. In the premier, we are this is the 7th year, right, Lucas?
7th year.
So we're 6 for 6 in the elite. We are 5 of 6 in the premier. Last year, the first time we ever didn't get it right on the nose. Got to tune in Thursday night, Power Rankings Week. Thank you to Remastered Sleep. Thank you to Body Trick. Thank you to the Pueblo Bulls. Thank you to GMU Sport. Thank you to all of our sponsors for supporting the Dan K Show and what we do. Without you guys, we would just be battling the league for contracts 24/7, and we wouldn't be able to get to be creative and keep helping these kids, even when they ain't paying us. Thanks so much, and keep watching. Go to dankshow.com to find out more, or at @the_Dan Show, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to find out why we're the most watched and most positive show in junior hockey.